Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com and by RockAuto.com. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to MotorWeek Podcast 128. And in our Studio C at MotorWeek Central today is our writer, producer, Brian Robinson.
Hello, John.
Our redneck road test producer, Ben Davis.
Thank you, sir.
Our assistant producer, Greg Carlos.
Yep, I'm here.
And writer, Patrick Lucas.
Hey, now.
Okay, we'll have a lightning round, a viewer question, a rant and rave, if we can think of one, and lots more. But first, three vehicles that we have on our mind lately at MotorWeek. Starting off with the Audi TT Roadster. New generation, I think much better looking. What do you think? Oh, such a pregnant pause there.
Should we just go in order now?
I don't think the looks are that different. They machoed it up a little bit. I think the big deal is it's on the MQB architecture, so performance is way up, not in an acceleration aspect, but just fun to drive.
I liked it the best of any TT I've ever driven.
Way up. And, there's a lot of trick stuff to the interior that I'm sure everyone else wants to talk about. That's way more into it than me, so I'll let them do that. But I think will clearly set it apart from anybody else in that segment.
I didn't feel like it was this overgrown blob on wheels anymore. It just felt like a real sports car for the once.
Yeah, the driving wasn't even the most impressive part. It was the technology.
And
I mean, you're underselling it. I thought it was a pretty big deal. That totally reimagined.
Well, this guy has a flip phone.
That's true. That is true. Well, they totally reimagined the interior design of a car.
The instrument panel is very creative.
Yeah.
Why don't you expound on that?
Well, yeah, so everything's in the gauge cluster. It's just this giant, 12-inch wide, probably 4 or 5 inch tall gauge cluster, giant screen. You get everything in there. Your nav. You get your
Google Earth.
Yeah, Google Earth. You get an artificial tach in your speedometer, and you can cycle through different setups and different sizes. Yeah, your backup camera's in there, and then all your HVAC controls are just integrated into the actual vents. And just tiny little displays and knobs that twist.
Genius.
It's great. I mean, it's a really easy car to use. You get in, except for we talked about the heated seats.
Right.
That was the only tricky thing to
we
find.
couldn't find the switches for, but they too are in the vents.
Yeah, I found that, no problem.
And
so was the scarf.
All right, okay.
Well,
Air scarf.
Yeah,
the air scarf.
I think that's a Mercedes-Benz
it is.
trademark device.
Yeah, whatever they call it in there.
Oh, here, you're right. It's not called an air scarf.
Correct. But it's like a dragon that's on your shoulder.
Neck warmer.
But that level of design, I think, is awesome. Now, the Camaro did have that, didn't it? The HVAC controls?
Yes, it does.
So I'm not saying Audi invented this or came up with this, but I think it's cool that they're the first ones, I guess, to...
It's well integrated into the interior.
Yeah.
And
the Corvette has it, too, doesn't it?
Does it?
On the passenger side.
Passenger side.
Yeah, it's just got a little display there.
It's not on the Vette. You're right. It's not
Correct.
on the Vette.
Touchscreen HVAC.
This was the actual control itself. We've talked a lot about Audi interiors in recent years, and I think they've done it again. Well, whether this little minimalist look will work in a bigger car, I don't know.
Yeah.
It works here.
Plenty of room inside, too, but the only problem that I have with the car is that it blends in too much, and it's lost all the quirkiness that I usually associate with TT. When it launched, it was super quirky, and now it kind of just blends in.
It had quirky that it doesn't have anymore. Other than the baseball
shape, distinctive styling. It had,
it just looked like a beetle before.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty harsh.
I think it was like a blob.
I think it's a hard top. The greenhouse really gave it that funky shape.
The grille itself kind of blends in with all the other Audis.
That's for sure.
It has no unique kind of TT look to it that it always used to have. It was unmistakably TT. Where now is I don't think I could catch it out of my peripheral and notice it as a TT other than an A4 or an A3, which it kind of is a shame. Everything's just carried over. I think the TT used to have its own headlights, kind of its own grille, and definitely its own rounded shape overall. Which I don't know.
Okay, as whether you want to call it 2-seat or sports car or what, did it live up to its performance expectations?
I thought so. I thought it, like Ben had mentioned, it feels big on the inside, but it drives very, very small, much closer to a Miata than something bigger than that. So, yeah, I mean, acceleration's good, not great. But it's just one of those cars you can hop into and have a great time blasting through some back roads.
Yeah, it's not like an ultra high performance car, but just a fun 2-seat roadster. It's great fun.
And there's plenty of room for performance upgrades in an S model or an RS model.
Agreed.
Which there will be.
Although, there are S coupes, but no S roadsters.
There's going to be an RS. There's a TT RS coming out.
I think coupe only. Though.
Coupe only, probably, which would the way they probably would do it. All right, very good. Let's move on to our much more pedestrian, but will sell in much bigger volume, the 2016 Honda Civic. Ben, you've actually driven it.
Yeah.
We've all seen it. Did you drive the 5-door as well? Did they have the 5-door?
No, I just drove the sedan. 4-door sedan is all.
So they didn't have the 5-door.
Not yet.
The British-made 5-door.
This is all they had for, and no SI coupes yet either.
So tell us, one of the best-selling small cars year after year. How is it?
And it will be again. And they, they had to get it right after launching the all-new Civic previously. They
Which
had
was a dud.
Yeah, they had to.
It was a dud that still sold over 350,000 units.
Everyone hated on it, but it never stopped selling.
Yeah, it never stopped
I don't
selling.
think anybody's going to be hating on this one. The car is super impressive at first glance. It's got it's got a really nice, just edgy enough styling, but just elegantly and flows really well too. It's got an incredibly sharp roof line that just vanishes into the trunk, really hatchback coupe-like, but there's still plenty of room in the back seat, even with a sunroof. It's amazing. It's an amazing use of packaging how they did that. And inside, it's super comfortable. All the materials, everything looks good, feels good. And the big news is there's a turbo motor now, but you can't get a manual behind it.
Why do they do that to us?
But
I don't think
Type
it's
R.
I don't think it's a super
SI.
performance oriented.
No, it's
manual.
not. It's not a performance oriented turbo motor either. It's only a 1.5 liter, and there's a decent
It's
amount
a fuel
of lag.
economy motor.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I don't know, but the numbers are almost exactly the same as the 2-liter. I was just looking at it today. The fuel economy numbers are the same whether you get 2-liter or the 1.5, except for I think you get 1 more mile per gallon highway in the 1.5 liter.
Well, it's got considerably less horsepower than the turbo motor, though. The 2-liter does, the naturally aspirated motor. But yeah, the fuel economy is the same.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's probably just I'm sure in the SI model they're going to beef it up, and hopefully they offer an SI 4-door. But anyway, there is a sport mode in the it's a CVT transmission with a torque converter. There's no paddles and there's no plus minus shifting, but there is a sport mode in the transmission selector that tightens up the throttle response and gets rid of some of the lag, and it's not so aggressive that you couldn't drive in that mode all the time. I did.
The other big controversy from the last one was the 2-level instrument panel.
Yeah, that's all that stuff is gone. In fact, you sit a lot lower in this car too, and the car's a lot lower and a lot wider in general. And to me, it felt like I was sitting in late 80s, early 90s Hondas where you're really low,
Quite close to the ground.
and you've got a ton of windshield in front of you. It was a lot like those, which I always felt was a really sporty point of view.
They still have something funky going on with the gauges, though. Isn't it like a 3-pod thing with? It's still all digital, right? Or there's no like.
I had analog gauges from what I remember, and it was pretty traditional. I mean, pretty the same basic layout that you see in everything these days. Nothing super funky or really what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing really exclusive to Honda as far as that goes.
Did they didn't completely revamp the nav system, did they? I know that's always been seemed like a little behind the curve.
No, I don't think so. And the same basic deck or the same basic entertainment radio center is in there too, with the lack of volume knob.
I'm not sure how many people that buy those buy that anyway.
Yeah.
But all in all, you think
I think it's a solid
huge
car.
improvement.
I think it's the next VW Golf. It's it's probably got a little bit of platform for everybody.
That's
with
big
its,
shoes to fill.
Yeah, I think it's there though. It's ready.
Wow.
You
Okay.
would buy that over a Volkswagen Golf.
I would strongly consider it.
The appeal is there.
Really?
And I tell you what,
the
if they-
what?
The appeal is
The
there because
appeal
you
is
can get
there.
the hatchback, you can get the high performance model, you can get a coupe.
And
get
it
a
also
coupe.
you have the reliability.
I'm just hoping that maybe Honda has a sense enough to launch a SI 4-door model. I think that would really sell. And yeah, that would compete with a GTI maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I think if they play their cards right, then they definitely have a strong Golf fighter.
That's good news.
That is
Speaking of fighting. GM is fighting for some visibility for its Chevrolet Colorado and GMC Canyon diesels. Their new midsize truck is finally coming out with a diesel about the time that the whole Volkswagen TDI thing blew up in everybody's face. Greg, you've driven it. Impressions? Did these pickup trucks need a diesel?
Yeah, I think that certainly deserves a diesel, especially if you're going to tow something.
Give us a detail on what the diesel is, what the engine is.
The diesel is a 2.8-liter Duramax, 4-cylinder. You're getting about 369 pound-feet of torque. Horsepower is like 189, but who really cares?
A lot of torque, though.
It's about torque, right? And that's available at 2,000 RPM, which is a pretty big deal. Towing's up to 7,700 pounds with the two-wheel drive model, and I think like 7,600 with four-wheel drive. So, yeah, I towed with it a little bit. This is the Colorado. I also drove the Canyon, and that's GMC likes to differentiate themselves with Chevy now, especially now more than ever. It's just more upscale on the inside, but for the most part, they drive exactly the same. And, yeah, I mean, tons of torque. The noise of the engine is actually very truck-like, which to me is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think, if you're going to buy a truck, you shouldn't be afraid to have that diesel clatter.
Also, if you want a diesel, it seems like if you were a truck buyer wants a diesel, you want it to advertise
I can't believe I'm alone in thinking that it's cool to have that diesel sound. Now, inside it doesn't creep in as much because it's a very quiet cabin, but when you really get on it and you got the windows down, you certainly hear it a lot.
Is it diesel clatter to the point where you'd have to turn it off in a drive-through to order?
No, it's not that loud. It's when you're really getting. It's at startup when you're really getting on it. But no, you'll be fine in a drive-through.
What's the price? I mean, what are you
get?
paying
Like
over
it's
the V6?
it's about $4,000 over a V6. So yeah, it costs quite a bit.
Steep.
But if people are about paying a lot of money for trucks now, so if you tow stuff and. I really like the truck in its V6 gas model, too. It's a solid truck.
I mean, I guess if you want to tow a lot, you're going to go for a full-size truck. But if you're going to tow medium amounts and you don't want to have some big full-size truck all the time, it is kind of it's kind of hard to kind of see where the market's going to be for it since it's such a premium.
What is the V6 Silverado tow? It's got to be 6,500 pounds at least, right? Or is it 7,000?
It's not. It's up there. I don't have those numbers.
Yeah, I don't remember them offhand either,
but
it doesn't seem like it's that much more to me. I mean, I don't know. I think it's more about, like you said.
I think it's enough to, if you're really serious about towing, you would make that jump.
Do they lock you into like a high trim level, or can you get this on I know it's like a $4,000 premium, but can you still buy like a base Colorado?
On the upper level models, yeah. It's automatic transmission only.
So they're basically trying to nudge you towards going full size by saying, "Look at all this money."
Well, except that a full size anything
diesel will probably do the same thing to you in full size.
It's so much more expensive than this. I mean, that's why the Colorado and Canyon are selling well. Is that full size truck prices have gone astronomical.
I'll tell you what, though, if you're in the market for a pickup truck and you're not sure whether to go full size or mid size, you should definitely drive this because it's so nice to have the maneuverability of this kind of truck. It's just it's still a big. It's big.
It's as big as a 30-year-old full size truck.
Compared to a Silverado, though, you start driving it around town and you really start to appreciate this truck's maneuverability.
You can at least reach into the cargo bed without standing on your tiptoes. Who makes this engine? Do you remember?
It's Duramax. Yeah, it's the in-house.
Well, Duramax, the original Duramax was what? A Isuzu. Is this an Isuzu diesel?
Well, that's GM too. I mean,
yeah, it is. But I'm thinking, is this? This is an in-house diesel. It doesn't come. It's not like Cummins or anybody else, or not even a Isuzu.
Yeah, I think Cummins is in the Titan, right?
The new Cummins will be in the Titan, the V8.
Transmission special to the diesel motor?
It's the same transmission. I think it's just geared differently.
It's got to be beefed up some.
But actually, I did about that transmission. I noticed in the gasoline version with the V6, which I drove a while ago, it was a real big gear hunter. It was like always changing gears. This one, it seemed to be much more confident in itself, which is nice.
Yeah, all that torque helps.
I must say I'm looking forward to driving it. I think it's a great – I hope it does well. I think it's a smart truck. I think they may have to work a little bit to define the market for it.
Yeah, and one more thing. It has CarPlay. Now. We didn't
CarPlay.
talk about that in the Volt in the last
The
podcast.
Civic did, Volt. I mean, everything coming out now has it, right?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
the new,
Yeah,
well, they
it's about
don't,
time.
yeah, it's CarPlay. Android Auto will be available in the spring of 2016. But yeah, I'm an iPhone user, so I got to play with that, and it was pretty awesome. It's everything.
User or abuser?
I think I booted a lot.
Note to old man, I've got to look up what is Apple CarPlay.
Basically mimics everything that's on your phone.
Oh, okay.
It's like the next step up from just having a few apps on a screen. All right, let's move on to our lightning round. Thanks, Greg and everybody. Our panelists have 2 minutes to debate a trending automotive topic. When time's up, they'll hear the bell. Okay. We've talked about autonomous cars before, often, always. We've usually talked to them about them as if they're far off in the future. What if? Now they're pretty close to production. Both Cadillac and Audi say they will have autonomous driving cars in some modes out next year. There are already plenty of them being tested in the real world. Couple of weeks ago, 60 Minutes did a big piece on autonomous cars, which they got a lot of flack apparently from people living in the Northeast, said, bring it on for our ice and snow. Anyway, should we be preparing for autonomous cars now, meaning other drivers, governments? These things are going to probably get here before we expect them. Are we ready for them? Start the clock.
What are we supposed to do to prepare? Like collect food or sort of?
Yeah,
Well, one thing,
Get a bumper sticker that says, "Hey, I drive mine."
we have no standardized lane markings in this country, and every autonomous car trip across country has found that that's been a big source of problems.
Right, and that study with California DMV has documented every accident that an autonomous car has gotten into, and it's
construction zones, right?
No, well, I don't know about that, but it's been, or a large majority of them have been human drivers causing the accidents, with human drivers hitting them because these autonomous cars are being so overly cautious and
Driving only at the speed
Right, so
limit.
that could be
they
a
don't react
problem
like a
too,
normal
though.
human behavior.
You can't jump on human drivers just from that, because I could see the frustration of like something that's just, technically, it's following the rules, but you also have to follow the unwritten rules of the road in a way.
Well, but
The rules of the road.
what's the last time? When's the last time you drove on a road and drove exactly at the speed limit? Let's face it.
Every time I used to follow
I
your
find
wife
myself
on-
doing that all the time, actually.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That does show you're getting into my class of age,
I
Ben.
find myself just looking down at the speedo and be like, oh, I'll be damned. I'm right on it. I'm right at it.
Well, when I look up in the rearview mirror and I'm doing that and I can't even see the license plate. My point is, if these cars are going to be programmed to drive at the speed limit, that can cause a lot of serious situations.
Are we going to have to
But
adjust our driving behavior?
It sounds like
around
it.
them?
But I mean, that's just a
These
software
robots.
thing. You can easily program in there to have them go 5 miles an hour over when it's safe.
But nobody's going to do that
And take
legitimately.
unnecessary risks.
Yeah.
But then
Pull
what?
out in front of somebody.
Do they start scheming against us? I mean, where does it end?
Become self-aware.
All right, so the question is then, like,
What do you do?
What year does the robot revolution?
how close are we? So it
It's already
seems like
happened,
it's an infrastructure thing. The cars are there. If the infrastructure was
Yeah, I think
there,
it is. I think it really
there would
is.
be autonomous cars right now. But it's so hard, like you said, you'd have to standardize everything,
And
You'd have to
because
really
every
cater things
state
to these
has their
cars.
own, is independent when it comes to that stuff. You could have a couple states saying, "No, I'm not going to change it."
We know how. Yeah.
All right, so I think the conclusion is, but nobody knows how to do it.
Can I add something right in
Yeah,
there?
Unring it.
Have you ever noticed lately that every time you come to a stop sign, not every time, but sometimes where the painted line is to stop, you can't see traffic coming at you at all?
Oh yeah, it's so far back from the intersection.
So would an autonomous vehicle
You'll know to creep
stop
forward.
at that line, or would he know to
He
creep
probably
forward, take a
would, but
peek?
it'd have radar sitting there to, probably looking
He'll get
down.
stuck
the
in
road.
an
GPS
infinite
will let him
loop.
know if
Yeah.
it's clear or not.
Which brings up an interesting
GPS?
point. Talking about stopping, almost nobody has seen stops at stop signs before, and lately around our offices, I see all these policemen sitting way off the road, waiting for people to run stop signs. So I wonder if they're starting to crack down
Robots
on
better
that.
get on board.
Yeah. Okay, we have time now for a viewer question. Glenn says, I recently.
Glenn.
I did it again. I didn't change the guy's name.
Oh, okay. What's his name? It's not Glenn.
It's almost like you copy and paste.
This
It's
guy's
weird.
buying cars like
Glenn number 2,
my
and
number
we're
one
sorry,
fan.
Glenn.
You
We
have
will
one
we will
job.
try and get your name right on the next time. Was this guy Glenn or was
No,
the other guy Glenn?
Glenn was the first guy.
Glenn was the
Glenn
first
is
guy.
the lucky guy
We're
with the
talking
R8.
about an entirely different podcast, so you're probably saying, what are they talking about? Our anonymous listener, viewer, has written, he just bought a 2013 Chevy Malibu. Remember, the other Glenn bought the R8. Okay, he says, a friend saw
Jumper
the
cables.
jumper cables that
I'm
I
glad you
keep
qualified that
in the
because
trunk.
I was gonna wonder, are they like AV cables or what?
He told me to throw them
cables, man,
away
just
because they can cause expensive damage on modern automobiles. Is that true? Well, I'll tell you, the last time we did it on MotorWeek, Pat Goss said throw them away.
Yeah, that was the segment from a couple shows ago.
Yeah.
What's the reasoning behind that?
The reasoning is that, and it comes down to two things, I guess. One, if you hook them up backwards, you can blow out many thousands of dollars worth of stuff. But you're also causing electrical surges, potentially, which can also do that. I have to admit, though, I just had a dead battery in a vehicle, and what was the first thing we got? We got jumper cables, and we were very careful and hooked them up. But there are alternatives now, and you can get the those lithium-ion battery pack jump chargers, which seem to be a lot safer.
I don't know anyone that's ever actually had a problem, but you constantly hear that
you
it's
hear
such a
it.
huge problem. But I mean, I jump stuff. All
I
the
used
time,
it on an
and
RLX not too long ago.
We jump stuff around here in the long terms, and I never.
The only here's something that I would do, Glenn, or whatever your name is. Look and
Deja
see
vu.
how good the cables are. The rule of thumb from a professional is that the wire ought to be gauge 2 to 6, and I think Pat Goss recommended 4 gauge. A lot of the cheap jumper cables are like 12 and 16 gauge strand wire, and they're junk.
And they're crazy junk.
And they're crazy junk. They'll overheat and they can catch fire. So if you're going to have jumper cables, first of all, make sure you know what you're doing. We certainly wouldn't recommend it, but we do it too, and make sure they are very high quality. But I got to tell you, for $70, $80, I'd go get myself a lithium battery pack jump starter. I think it's on my Christmas list this year. Okay, I hope that helps, whatever your name is. And we're now down to the rant and raves. And besides ranting and raving about our producer's inability to get people's names right,
Which producer?
what?
Too soon.
Anybody got anything? Any rant and raves?
I always got one locked and loaded, but I feel like I'm always the one doing it. So I'll give either Patrick.
I made this as a forum for
Robinson
anyone,
or-
not.
Yeah, but it's always the same. It's like me and Ben. who
You guys
always
have a lot to
rant
talk
and
about,
rave.
clearly.
We're angry.
All right. Well, I had one, but I actually just changed it. That's how many I have that I can change it in the middle of a
Calling it
podcast.
audible.
Yeah, I called an Omaha on that one. Going back to the stop sign situation, at four-way stops, I'm noticing more and more. When you get to a four-way stop with another person, even though that person is there maybe 2-3 seconds before you, they will wait for you and wait for you to go. And that just really pisses me off. It's
like they're breaking up the flow.
I have the opposite problem where if you're two people approaching and they see you start to stop, they just go. They're like, "Oh, this guy's stopping." So I can
Or
go.
what gets me is when you get there and the car, on your left has got the right to go first, and there's someone behind them, and they cheat through with them. So they don't even wait their turns.
Right, because they assume they've been waiting as long as if they came with that person in front of them, they assume they are now attached to that car. So they
Instead
get
of
to go.
basically just being civil.
Pretty sure I've been guilty of all that. I'm pretty sure some of you guys probably have been too.
But we're not going to admit it.
Right.
I mean,
I'm pretty conservative about four-way stops. I get there and I try and give the other person their due. If you get there at the same time, I'll wave them on. But you're talking about somebody that's just
If
sitting
it's
there.
your right away, take it.
right. Don't
Yeah.
make yourself out to be the saint who says, "Oh no,
take it
please
after
go
you."
ahead." Because
After
in
you.
my mind, sometimes I really don't see you. I'm looking other ways, assuming that you're going to go.
Sure.
and then I'm sitting here waiting, and you're still there.
Don't you love it though when you sit there and you wave them on and they don't go? So then you start, but then they start, and then you start, and it's like
and it all starts with the waving. It's just take the right of way and just move on, and just please just go on with your day. I'm all heated up over here.
Avoid all eye contact.
Avoid all eye contact.
Yeah, that's good.
Very good. That was a good one.
If you lock
Thank
eyes
you,
with
Greg.
someone, that's like an admission that, please go ahead. I'm not going to go.
If they're intimidating, I'll let them go. Though.
What's intimidating though? Like what's? Is it tattoos? Is it?
If a guy looks crazy, and it's kind of like a give and take, who's going to take it? I'll just totally submit.
I think it sort of depends on how I feel that day. If I feel like if I haven't had my Wheaties,
don't catch John Davis on the wrong day.
I just go miles out of my way to avoid them. I look for roundabouts instead.
Oh, roundabouts! Let's do a rant and rave on those next time. What every automotive highway engineer that ever went to Europe and thinks roundabouts are a great idea, I want to line them up against the wall.
Wow, I think they're great. People don't know how to use them.
I think they work.
Yeah,
Depends.
people just don't know how to use. We need to educate
Single lane
people on how to use
roundabouts
them.
good.
You know who would
Yeah,
know how to
double
use
lane
them?
roundabouts are
roundabouts
bad.
not good.
You're right.
How would an autonomous car do in
Oh,
a
boy.
situation
Probably
like that?
better than 90% of
Most
actual
likely, yeah.
drivers.
That's where I wish we did have autonomous cars.
Let's wrap it up.
All right, that's in our podcast number
Bang off that one, too.
128. I want to thank all of our panelists, Brian Robinson, Ben Davis, Greg Carlos, Patrick Lucas.
Yeah.
Also, I want to thank our audio engineer, Jillian Cookman, our podcast creator, Bob Mixter, and our producer, Patrick Lucas, who says Glenn, too, he's sorry.
And the GoPro.
I will get that
And the
right.
GoPro.
next
GoPro's
time.
held out.
Thank you very much for listening to our podcast and for watching Motor Week on most of your public television stations and also on Velocity. Till next time, I'm John Davis for all of us at Motor Week. Thanks for listening and watching Motor Week.
You have been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com and by RockAuto.com. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at MotorWeek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series each week on your local PBS station.